Well, it's such a pleasure to have you. I have started watching Selling the Hamptons and I am completely obsessed.
Good. Thanks for
Yeah.
having me. How far along are you?
I just finished the second episode, so I am
Ooh,
like earmuffs to spoilers, but yeah, I have to say I am really enjoying your story. And so this is just such a treat for me. Just to give you a little bit of background and context, like Willow and what we're doing and why I think this is extra cool. If that's cool for 30 seconds, then we'll move into some questions.
absolutely.
Yeah. So we are a real estate investing platform that's allowing clients, we're based in Canada, but we allow international investors to buy fractional shares of commercial real estate. And so $2 to $20 million range, which is small potatoes for you guys. But it's really kind of, yeah, disrupting that whole sector of commercial real estate investment. And I kind of come into it as the wealth expert. I've worked with high net worth clients, which is, I think, one of the reasons I'm so excited to talk to you too in your journey. But that's really what we're doing. And so anything real estate, like we focus specifically on commercial, but of course, anything real estate is exciting. So that's just kind of it in a nutshell.
How small of a share can your investors get into?
So we split every property into 100,000 units. And so right now you can get ownership at like $13 a share. And so, yeah, it's really like, and then each ownership caps at 10%. So it's really trying to open up this space to investors in Canada because like, obviously in New York, but I live in Vancouver. I'm from Toronto. Canadian real estate is completely.
My brother lives in Victoria.
No way. I just got back from Victoria. Have
Yeah.
you been?
Oh yeah, a few times. So his wife's from there, so they bought a house somewhere. I just haven't seen it yet because of COVID.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah, it's the most beautiful place. Like I don't have to tell you that. Like obviously you spend your time in the Hamptons and all over the world, but
The Hamptons for me is work. So like I don't get to really enjoy the Hamptons as everyone else does. Victoria is stunning. So
it's stunning. No, I love that you have that Canadian context as well.
yeah.
How many siblings do you have? So you have your brother that's up in Canada. Is that just the two of you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's like one part of your journey that I really connected with because my parents are immigrants as well. You have, you talk about that on the show. And I think it's just the thing I just keep on thinking about, as I'm watching the show, as I'm learning a little bit more about your career, it's really like, how did you build, like, you're this amazing, like real estate powerhouse. How did you go from like your start in Queens to that? Like, tell us a bit more about your journey.
Thank you. I feel like I was like Fresh Prince of Bel-Air starting in Queens. But thank you. That means a lot. Honestly, I don't want to say a lot of it is luck because I feel like it's not. You have to just have perseverance and really just fight through it. I went to law school, but I always knew that I didn't really love being an attorney. It was just something that I wanted to satisfy my mother for. And I always had a passion for real estate in general. It's the American dream, right? We would used to drive as kids looking at these beautiful homes. And I was offered an opportunity a few years ago to be on a brand new team. And I just never really let that go. Like, I feel like no matter what I try to do, I always want to be the best at it or the best of what I can be. And I don't like the word no. So, you just keep setting the bar higher and higher and higher. And when people think I can't do it, gives me that much more motivation to actually do it and prove them wrong.
I
But,
love
and
that.
yeah. And like you come from an immigrant family. So I've saw the struggles of my family and I never wanted that. I want to build like a legacy for my family and my future family.
Yeah. And that's something I noticed, like in the first episode, like you have that huge listing, you're going with the developer on Duck Pond. And I think like you have completely, like, you're like, this is what we're doing. And I'm going to do this. Like, where does that come from? Like your ability to push back? Cause I know that's so hard to do, especially when you're surrounded by rich, powerful people, agents that are grinding. Like, how do you have really like the guts to stand up and be like, no, I'm the right person for this. You're not going to say no to me.
If you don't have faith in yourself, no one else is going to. So you have to literally tell the person why you deserve it. And if you don't believe in your own self, why should someone else believe in investing or trusting their home or trusting any sort of investment with you. So listen, whether it's a $300,000 home or $300 million home, the ABCs are there. The foundation's all the same. So I wanted it, and I was not taking no for an answer. I refused.
Yeah. And you can tell, and I'm sure that that comes through as well to clients, because they're like, okay, Peggy's here. She's going to get this done for us because she won't say no to me. So I know she's not gonna make that happen.
That's part of my spin too.
Yeah.
I show them like listen, it says something when you're literally chasing someone for 2 years and constantly following up and constantly, you're just not the one trick pony where you just say, hey, look at me, I just did this. Now use me to sell your property. I put in the work for it. And I think a lot of the younger generation doesn't know that they need to put the work in. They want instant gratification, where in real estate and just in life in general, I just don't think that is necessarily the case. And so,
yeah, I hear you. And I think that like when you work, like I've been on the high net worth financial side, now on the real estate side, these are all very high trust businesses. Like, is there something that you think like, and I noticed too, like you have really strong loyalty with your clients. Like, is there something that you think, you're bringing to the table that's unique and special that enables you to build those relationships in such a powerful way?
I think I try to connect with the person like right away. You are from Vancouver. I try to have that initial connection so that person feels like we are friends, or there's just something deeper than just numbers on the table. And honestly, I genuinely care about my job, about my clients, about my friends, about anyone that I come across with, whether you're a stranger on the street. I really do want the best for every individual. And I think over time, when people talk with me and how they continue to speak with me and hear me talk, they see it. And then, there comes a point where I think you have to like be a little nice or sweet, or, play a little card, a little bit of like passive, but then everyone's different. Like the first episode, he is a type of man that you have to play the passiveness a little bit, but then you have to put your foot down. And when you put your foot down, that's when you actually get the respect. So everyone's different. But I think at the end of the day, people just genuinely see that I care about their property and I'm passionate about it.
Yeah. And I think that that's something that, like you said, comes across immediately. Like that's the immediate vibe I get from you.
Thank you.
And that's, of course, like as you're building your career, I think it's easier to like, not easier, sorry, as you grow, you can establish yourself with that credibility. If you were going to like give advice to somebody who's in the early stage of their career and trying to build that credibility, like what would you say?
Sorry, I have really bad allergies.
No problem.
What would I say? Honestly, it's a tough industry, and I think any industry is tough, and you're going to get a lot of doors closed in your face, and get a lot of no's. But at the end of the day, you have to have faith in yourself and confidence in yourself. Like, know your worth. Even if you've never sold something, you still are worthy of being able to sell something, whether it's real estate or something different. Mm-hmm. So just don't give up. I always say shadow someone that is seasoned in the industry that you're in. But most importantly, like know your worth. And I think that's the biggest take that I have out of it. I literally have a post-it on my desk, KYW, for know your worth.
I love that. I might take that.
That's a good Do it. Like positive affirmations. You need it.
Yes. Manifest all that positivity. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And like one thing that I love, and this is something that I think, is a parallel with Nest Seekers and like Willow, in that Nest Seekers is kind of like this, you guys are really like innovative, you're fun, you do things a little bit differently than some of like the old school, more real estate, different brokerages. And like us, what we're doing now is trying to be like disruptive, create something different and new. And I think there's power to that. Like, what do you think is the biggest advantage of being kind of like that? I want to say like a little bit of a spicy brokerage on the block. Like, what do you think that brings to your clients?
I think it brings like imagination, right? And it brings anything is pretty much, it's like endless possibilities, right? Yeah. So if we sit down with a seller or a client and we come up with this crazy marketing scheme or whatever, in most other companies, there's so much red tape where I can literally walk into the CEO of my company office and say, I want to do X, Y, and Z. And I think with times changing, how social media is working, just in general, just I think you need that creativity and you need to spice things up and not just be the cookie cutter seller, because I think that's where the world's really going to.
Yeah, absolutely. You're so right. Like technology is making things change at such a rapid speed. And like over the last few years, like even looking at the real estate booms and how everything is really changing, like you have to be able to move and shake pretty quickly.
Like any other company would never allow me to start my business in the Hamptons. So I am a New York City real estate broker, but I would always refer business out to the Hamptons. And then Eddie, the CEO of my company, was like, why don't you just start working there, as well, like build a branch out there and do, set up a team. And no other company would do that. Now more companies are open to it, but we pioneered the way a little bit. And going back to the earlier question, I had so many doors slammed in my face. Like people didn't want to show me houses or even pick up my phone calls because I was a New York City broker. So it's know your worth. If you want something, no, it should just be the strength to just get what you want.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can feel that too. And I think like that's really interesting, like what you said too about Eddie kind of empowering you to mix things up, like build your business as well in the Hamptons. When you've been through all these ups and downs and so many no's, like, is there a moment or like a sale, something you can point to that you felt like, hey, yeah, I've made it. Like, I've got this.
So I think because I'm so hard on myself, I don't think I'll ever say I've made it per se. I think I keep wanting more and more and more. But I think when I first started real estate, I was probably year 1 or 2. I had a $7 million listing that I represented the buyer. It took over a year to close because it was a new development. And I literally was like, yes, like, okay, like first of it, just like every hiccup and everything that could go wrong did happen. But, I broke into that. And then I was like, well, that should just be all my deals. Why aren't all my deals like that? And that just kind of set the bar higher and higher.
Mm-hmm. And then of course, like now you're launched into this like mega deal space and you're doing it on camera as well. Like, tell us about that. Is that stressful? Is it like invigorating? Like, what's that experience like to work on camera?
I am probably like the worst person to ask that question. I don't really say no a lot, hence why I don't like the word. So I just don't care. At the end of the day, you have to do my real estate is what pays my bills, and I have to do the job. And you spend so much time with the camera crew and the film crew that they become family, and you almost forget that they're there a little bit. So it's weird world. It's weird seeing myself on TV. I think that's more weird than actually filming. But yeah, I kind of just roll with the punches and just go along.
Yeah, I know, because there's moments like in my workday where I was like, oh, if somebody saw that, that'd be awkward. And so I always just feel like it must just add a whole different element,
Yeah, you have to be a bit more professional, right? Because I'm on a real estate show, which is my profession, and yes. I'm a very, 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 very like professional square when it comes to work. So it's hard but I'm the biggest dork when I'm not in the office, and it's like hard to just balance that. But yeah, it gets I try to do a little bit of both.
Yeah. And there's all these like my career. Yeah, exactly. Like juggling all this stuff. And especially with like such strong personalities, and like real estate is, and I think especially this level of real estate, such a male dominated space. And I definitely relate to that, like with my background. And so I think like, is there something that, or what do you think would help like encourage more women? Like, I know you talk about knowing your worth, and it's a really powerful message that any young woman in her career should listen to, but what do you think might encourage more women to dive more confidently into spaces like this?
Use your voice. Honestly, like use your voice. And I was raised where I could do anything a boy can do, and I could do it in 5-inch heels. You know what I mean? Like that's like we really can, if you think about it. Females are working full time, have a household, they do all this, they do X, Y, and Z, they cook, they clean, they're juggling a million and one things every second of the day. Why can't you jump into a male dominated industry? Why can't you get the most expensive listing? You absolutely can. I think our biggest hindrance is that females have so much insecurity and we have guilt. And I think if we just let go of the guilt and just have confidence and know that we are capable of doing whatever we put our mind to, like the world's your oyster or whatever those sayings are.
I feel like as I'm listening to, I'm literally like that hands emoji, just like, yes, this is yes. Yeah.
One of the biggest thing about filming the show is just all the DMs that I get from other females that are inspired. And I'm like, if I could do that, you know, I'm just a regular person on the street, but I just want young boys and girls just to know their worth and have confidence. But I really want young girls to just really know that they can do it. And if they can see me do it and they see someone else that resembles them do it, like they're golden.
Yeah. And don't say no to yourself. Like, know your worth and advocate for yourself.
Yeah.
And so like on the investment side, like as you're looking at, like, I know you have a mix of clients that you're dealing with that can be there in person or that aren't there, you know, do you have pointers if somebody can't be at a property, like what are things to look for? Are there red flags? Like just a couple of things that you might want to think about if you're looking at investing in a property.
Like the actual structure or the financials of it?
I think like more on the financial side, like what would constitute, I guess, like, I know this is a big question, but like what would constitute like a good investment for a real estate buyer?
It all depends. So in New York City, first, you want to make sure if it's like a building, you want to know your ROI and like the net profits if it's a commercial, and your monthly payments, and see if it makes sense. A lot of times when buildings are being sold, there's a reason why. You just have to really dive into it and look into it a bit more.
Yeah.
But most importantly, you want to know like the trajectory of where it's going to go in the future, as well as your monthly cost. Can you handle the actual payment? Let's say it's a multifamily home. Can you handle the payment if all the tenants leave, you know, if they just vacate or if the roof goes or whatever it could possibly be? I am very number-esque when it comes to real estate, and I take all emotions out of it. And I think in the commercial world aspect of it, you can't have any emotion in it at all. So numbers at the end of the line, the balance sheet is and your pro forma is probably the biggest, most important.
I love that. Thanks for that. That was like a really concise answer to a huge question. So that's amazing. And you're great. So like, and when you're like, you mentioned like commercial real estate, residential real estate, like, is there an area of real estate that you're really excited about right now? Like just like anecdotally, like something in specific that you get really fired up about?
I eventually the near future is starting for me personally. I want to get into the development side of flipping homes. I genuinely love going and picking out like the stone and just like all the different design, because that's a whole nother element of what my job is. It's not just opening the door and selling real estate. It's really, you know, learning what I've experienced and you really using like market research data, which is all the clients I bring through, and see what they want and putting that into a building. I'm working on a new development project in New York City in Tribeca, and typically real estate brokers come on last just to sell, but we are like knees deep, just really figuring out the architecture, like the design, the marketing of it. You know, I had a meeting this morning with this really cool, off the cusp, like spicy, no red tape, like out of the box kind of marketing experience. So that's cool. Like just different aspects of real estate.
That's super cool. It's like you literally know what's behind the walls of every piece of that development then, because you're right in on the ground floor.
Yeah, it's not even built yet. And I like live, breathe, sneeze, like everything in it. Sleep
that's
it.
Amazing. I'm sure that's going to be like such an interesting evolution of your career too. So fantastic. It seems like you have like just such a good head on your shoulders around like all this financial aspects. Like obviously you're trained as a lawyer as well. Like, have you always been like pretty financially savvy, or was it something you kind of grew into as an adult as your career boomed?
I think I've always been financially cautious. And I think that's because coming from a family where, both my parents are blue collar workers, and that they also are immigrants. So a lot of times I would help them with certain things, especially contracts and things like that. I wanted to make sure that all our financials and my financials are great. And I guess I went to school, like college, my undergrad was finance. So I always just wanted to make sure the business side of it was like I was spot on. And I don't want to rely on any other person, man, or anyone else to really go through my spreadsheet or my budget. I'd rather learn how to do it myself.
Yeah, I love that. Like empowering yourself to be able to make those own decisions. So you can stand on your own 2 feet no matter what.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And like I think it's with everything, like even in real estate, if you any industry that you're in, if you don't know how to do the bare minimum of like on the pyramid, like the bottom, then you're not going to be great or successful at what you do, because you need to know the foundation of any industry that you're in to really succeed and get to the top.
Absolutely. No, I love that. And you obviously like have done that. You've done the work, you've put in the time, like you said, like there is like always that element of luck, but the luck isn't going to come unless you put in that hard work, right?
Yeah. I mean, well, yeah, like you need to go out there and chase it. Nothing's going to happen to you when you're sitting on your couch, watching
the show. Exactly. I know, like, I want to be sensitive of your time here. I just have like one last question, like as a viewer watching the show, like enjoying it so much, like what do you think is something that would be like really surprising for the viewers to know about your day-to-day while you're filming, or like, just like kind of a little bit of a glimpse into like your life, like that would be most, surprising.
You pretty much see it all. I mean, it's like, I wish you guys could see all of what we film, because we film all day and you get little like tidbits of it. I'm like, but wait, they missed out this. But see, is what you get, really. What do I think that? Yeah, I just think it's like, and I am also probably, I am such an introvert, so I think that's really funny, because when I'm watching myself, I'm like, oh no. Like I'm such an introvert. Like when people start like going at it, I'm like, oh, I just want to shut down. But I think you can see it all.
I think maybe that's something that like is surprising, is like how actually real it is. Like, it doesn't seem like, I know there's like all this hype about reality TV, but it doesn't seem like things are being put on. Like it all does seem very authentic. So that seems to be like your experience. Like, yeah, this is actually what's happening. These are our debates and our dramas and our challenges.
Yeah. And I think a lot of it has to do with that. This particular, like Selling the Hamptons, is about real estate. It's not just like girls just hanging out or just a bunch of friends just hanging out. It's our day-to-day job. And that's really what you see. If anything, I just wish you guys could see like all the ins and outs, like conversations I talk with like my team, and just the ins and outs, and like the hiccups along the lines. But it's only a 60-minute show or a 45-minute show, so you can't see it all.
I guess pick and choose. Yeah. I lied, so I apologize. You do have one more. That's okay. Yeah. So I think like for me, my career business has always been wealth and wealth creation. And like real estate is such an incredible tool for wealth creation. Like tell me a little bit more about like what you think about like real estate as a wealth creator. And like, if you do have any thoughts like on commercial real estate in that realm as well, like as wealth creation, or like if you could see yourself pivoting there, just really like real estate to build wealth. Any thoughts on that?
I've always been like a fan, or like a person that always says that you should always invest in real estate and have your own real estate portfolio more so than stocks. It's a tangible thing. It's actually there. You can, if something happens, you can sell it. You don't need to worry about the market, like the stock market. Commercial real estate, if you start investing in commercial real estate, I think that's where the big money really is. Once you start purchasing and owning, shopping centers and malls and just big business centers. And I want to say it's like, you can get there, whether you're in residential, you buy a small house, fix it and flip it, and you keep on building your equity and growing and get it bigger and bigger. And then you have like 7 single family homes. In commercial, same thing. You don't need to right off the bat purchase a whole shopping center. You get a little building here, and then you build equity. And I am all for owning tangible items that make money while you're sleeping.
Yes.
Right? And then don't always worry about, like my brother lived in Arkansas for a bit, and there's lots of land there. And I was like, you know what? There's these new medical schools coming up, these universities. Let's buy land there and then build. Don't always have to be in the hot spot right away. Create the hot spot. That also is what real estate is about, creating new hot spots.
I love that perspective because it's true. Like you don't have to just have like the big shiny one right off the bat. Like it's all about working and building up your portfolio. And like you said, money while you sleep is the magic, right?
Yeah. Like when going back to the finance question, I've always lived under my means. And I think that's really important. And I think the younger generation needs to understand that, where you don't need the big shiny building right away. Start small. And if your home or property is smaller than your friends, that's okay, because they don't know what your bank account looks like. Only you do. So worry about yourself and how you could build your own like portfolio.
Yeah, like we see under the hood, right? Like of people's financials, and I think it's surprising what you can see, right? And not everybody who has the big flashy thing might have the bank account to back it up. So I think that's awesome advice. Peggy, like this was incredible. You were like, thank you so much. I think that's all my questions, but like amazing. I really appreciated this.
Thanks for having me. This was fun and enjoy it. You're in Vancouver now, right?
Yeah, I am.
What's the weather like now?
Pardon?
What's the weather? Pardon.
Oh, it's raining. It's raining. I have just clouds behind me on the other side, but yeah, classic Vancouver. The Victoria gets a little bit nicer. So hopefully it's a little bit sunnier for your brother.
Well, this was so lovely. Thank you.
So lovely. So nice to meet you. I can't wait to watch the rest of the season. So thanks so much again, Peggy.
Let me know what you think of the next episode, because if you're following my story, I feel like that's a little.
I'm really excited. I saw the preview and like, I was like, oh, I wish I'd watched it before, but like, I was just like, yeah, I'm excited. I'm like totally rooting for you. I think you kick ass. So thanks again.
Thank you so much. This was amazing. Thank you.
Okay, bye.